Now, insurance agents say your comprehensive car insurance will cover this: broken glass, pried open doors, or even damage to your vehicle. But what it won't cover is stolen items from inside the vehicle, like your wallet or your cell phone. To give you an idea of how big this leak is here, take a look down here. You can see a fish actually coming out of the hole. Hold on, can you tell us when John Chapman's truck is gonna be done? You were here, you talked to me last night. The man would not give us a clear answer when the car would be returned. We found him working on Garza's Ford Ranchero in the back.
This is private property where you're at. You need to leave.
The owner was done with the conversation. Residents say that this drain here has sort of become known as the tunnel to freedom. Yeah, a trip to the dumpster led Lynn Mobley to a pretty startling discovery. Inside this dumpster and outside were these envelopes. Inside were past customers' personal information. Lynn Mobley did a little dumpster diving this morning.
I bought some stuff and I wanted to ship it home, and I was looking for a box to pack it in. So I just basically came upon it by accident.
Mobley spent the night at the Super 8 motel in Weslaco. This morning, he found thousands of envelopes containing the motel's customer billing information.
I mean, anybody with sense would have shredded this information.
Mobley picked up what he could, put it in his motel room. We went for the rest. Now, as we sift through the dumpster here, we're finding piles and piles of these envelopes marked confidential. And inside these envelopes, we're finding a lot of personal information, including addresses and credit cards. And some of these credit cards are even current. Tell us about why do you have all these personal information out here?
It's not supposed to be out here. What do you mean it's out here?
Yeah, you've got piles and piles of this stuff out here. When we confronted the owner of the motel, he told us his employees must have thrown them out by mistake.
And I'll take full responsibility for it because it happened under my watch, and I apologize for it. I want to make this right and make sure such thing never happen again.
Mobley says he hopes the cleanup is thorough.
Well, it's closing the gate after the horse got out, but what can I say?
He believes this could have been a huge breach in security. Now, the helicopter has helped flush out about 25 of these illegals. If you look over right here, they're loading them up into this bus. Now, the Ponce say as soon as it warms up out here, the water inside of these tires will be the perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes. Now, for the past month, Ray and his wife have been forced to shower here at the park's public bathroom. To better explain how a tidal loan works, we're going to use the game Monopoly as an example here. Now, we took a look at some of the fire extinguishers here at the apartment complex, and we noticed that they haven't been checked since July of 1998. Now, illegal immigrants may already be in Manuel's backyard. We were just a few blocks east of her home, and we found evidence that someone may be living here. When these people were put into the ground, there was no order to which they were buried. This is just some of the challenges that these volunteers face when trying to identify these illegal immigrants.
Once you picked up so many, you get used to it.
One by one, nameless bodies are pulled from the earth.
They buried about 5 or 6.
The Voyager Durham has seen many of these remains long before they were buried.
Probably around 24. Some of them are just bones. Some of them are just hair. Some of them is just a head skeleton.
Durham manages a ranch about 10 miles from this graveyard. He says the bodies belong to illegal immigrants. Some died on his property while traveling north. Now, buried here in a mass grave.
In some circumstances, we're finding that once we go down below the surface, that we're finding more than one individual in the same grave.
Anthropologist Krista Lathram and these volunteers from the University of Minneapolis and Baylor University want to identify the remains and then send them home.
Once these go back to the laboratory, that's when they'll be opened, when there'll be an inventory of clothing, of jewelry, of shoes.
The volunteers started their quest last year. Channel 5 News was there when they first broke ground. Since then, just one body has been identified.
We're not finding much in terms of paperwork, so we don't know a lot about when these individuals were recovered, what happened to them.
It takes months to identify a body. DNA and personal items are sometimes the only clues they have. Latham's team must wait until families south of our border review the team's findings.
That individual was exhumed from this general area over here.
A family in Honduras claimed the body of a woman exhumed here. Further details cannot be released until the remains are back in Honduras.
Amnesty is here, and the border's wide open.
An influx of unaccompanied, undocumented children are crossing our borders right now. Durham fears many will end up here in these now empty graves. Latham's quest may never end. Our cameras were there as the women entered the police department. Inside, the women say they were told they would not get their driver's license and other documents back until they paid a fine. This dentist sandwiched between a baker and a few dozen street vendors offer them an alternative. This company is one of many border businesses that provide all-inclusive, low-cost travel packages to dentists in Mexico. Now, police say that in these stash houses, sometimes they find 20 to 30 people here, and it can be very unsanitary. Let me take you into one of the rooms here. Once again, this area is sort of a temporary spot for these illegal immigrants to collect and gather their supplies. Here on the ground here is a piece of steak. There's clothing laying all over the ground here. If you take a look over here, you can see what appears to be some sort of religious shrine. So here's another problem Cavasso has to deal with. On the other side of this fence here, you can find hundreds of inner tubes just like this one littered on his property. Cavasso says illegal immigrants use these inner tubes to cross the Rio Grande, and when they do, the inner tubes are left here.